Oh yeah, good for you.
I was walking the dog and it kept tying me up around
Yep.
the leg and going this and that. I says, you know what you need? You need a belt that's got a slot that you take like a ball bearing with a thing, and it's in a groove, and as the dog goes around you, the thing just slides right
That's
around,
hilarious.
and
Yep.
you never tear
It would
tie
be
your
like, it
legs
could
up.
be your superhero belt.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah.
be great, yeah.
Your utility belt. Superhero utility belt. That's awesome.
Yeah, could make a lot of money.
I think you definitely could. Are you
I
kidding?
gotta go find that patent guy right now.
We
Gotta
got,
find the
right now,
engineer
any
first.
patent lawyers? I only know real estate lawyers.
See, I just pitched an engineer's house that's getting divorced the other day, maybe.
There you go.
Could
Somebody
do
doing
that,
a deal.
sure, absolutely.
All right.
Well, listen, before I begin, I'd like to explain a little bit about how I work. And I wanted you both to know that I'm not just interested in taking a listing for the sake of taking a listing. In fact, one of the things I learned in real estate school is that if I take a listing just for the sake of taking a listing, that often leads to letting my clients down. And I don't think that's what you want, is it? Right? No, me neither. So to prevent that from happening, there's a simple process that I follow. And is it okay if I share that with you folks right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I call this a system, not a gamble. You ever heard that saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail? You know, so I think that by having a system, of course, it's a plan in order for us to succeed in getting your home sold, and more importantly, presenting this to you in that way that we can get it sold, and to not letting you down. So here's the process in a nutshell. There are 5 steps. The first step is I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Then I'm going to ask you to, we're all going to get up, I'm going to ask you to show me around your home. And then we're going to come back here to the kitchen table, and I'm going to explain to you why so many people choose Carlson GMAC and myself to list their homes for them. And then after that, we're going to talk about price and terms, and I'm also going to provide you with a net sheet that will show you exactly what you're going to net in your pocket. At that point, after I've learned enough about you and you've learned enough about me and the price of your home and what I'm going to do to market the home and about my company, at that point, we should both be in a situation where we're going to be able to make a decision to see whether or not we're going to work together. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And you know, using this process, it's the surest way to us not being in a situation that we're going to regret. All right? So, what I want to do first, I want to ask you a series of questions. And I have my pen on me. Do you have a pen, though? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And
Is this on the side all the time, or no?
no, it doesn't have to be, but it can be.
Okay.
Because this will be your memory jogger right here.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So we can jump in and out of this role as we go?
Yes, this is for those of you watching the video. If you are watching the video, this is the unofficial,
The unofficial guide.
listing presentation guide. And so the two of you, if you'd like, can even ask me objections at any point. We're going to make this as real, and as interactive as realistic as possible. But in addition to that, I might chime in to the camera and or to you folks to advise you as real estate agents what the process would be and some of the options that you might have and things that you can do during the process.
Right.
The great news is that you have a 5-step track, and if you get off track, you have the awesome ability to get right back on track, because the seller will take you off track at times. Okay. Now, Lauren brought up a good question before we started the video, and that was, what if they say, okay, I'm not going to list at any point during this process? And then, you know, of course, you know, the answer to that is, you know, no problem, and then you just get back on track and keep going. So what I would do in the listing presentation package is I would have this set up on the table, and I'd move everything aside, and I'd make sure that both sellers of the property could see it. A lot of trainers will also advise that if you're a man, have the man sit next to you and the woman across from you. If you're a woman, have the woman sit next to you and the man across from you. And also, and this is part of this being the unofficial listing presentation, is that we just pulled all this together in the last few minutes. And what I'm going to recommend is that you put this in a 3-ring binder in clear plastic sheets, but go to Staples or a real nice office supply store and pick up a leatherette bound with brass corners. Really make it a real nice book so that when you bring it in, you know, it looks nice. If you've ever bought a piece of jewelry, they don't take the diamond and put it on a piece of cardboard or on a notepad. What do? They lay out plush purple velvet and they place it on there, and they use 2 hands when they hold it. So you want the presentation to look nice before you bring it out. Now, in your clear plastic sheets, what I'm going to recommend you do is that you always have a stack of seller questions, like maybe 10 or 12 of these pages slid inside. And so when you get to the part where you're going to ask them a series of questions, simply take one of these pages and slide it out and start asking the questions. And the address of the property, let's pretend it's at 123 Pine Street, so I'll write that at the top of my seller questions page. And I'm going to go through the questions with you folks. And what I like about this personally is that the questions are also in front of you too, so it doesn't look like I'm hiding the questions. Mm-hmm. And what else is really neat about it is that while Bill's answering number 1, Lauren is reading number 2, and you know they may be looking at the page and they kind of know what's coming up. So we haven't practiced or rehearsed this, so let's just and I haven't even given you the scenario of what you are, so you guys are pretty good. Let's just improvise as we go. So the first question I have is, why are you moving?
Well, basically, the kids have moved out and the house is too big, and she's complaining about going up and downstairs.
Yeah,
So
downsize. We
So
gotta
in a
downsize.
nutshell,
To downsize. Okay, great. So the home is really too big for you at this point, right?
Huge.
Okay. And where are you moving to?
wherever she wants.
Somewhere in town. We like to stay in town.
All right, so stay in town. All right. And when do you want to move, or when do you have to move?
We want to move as soon as we can,
Okay,
within the next 5 months.
what's in the next 5 months? Now let me ask you this question. Do you want to be moved in the next 5 months, or do you want to be under agreement in the next 5
We
months?
want to be moved.
You want to be moved. So we'd actually have
4 months.
3 months to
3
get your
months.
home sold, because, so I'm gonna keep that in mind and just make a note of that. So you wanna be physically moved in 5 months.
Yeah, I'm sick of cleaning the house.
Alrighty, good. How long have you lived in this present house?
20 years.
20 years?
Mhm.
Wow, that's great. A lot of
Yeah, it was
memories.
five. We were 5 when we moved in.
That's great. And a lot of memories, I bet, huh?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. What major improvements have you made?
We updated the kitchen.
Yeah.
We updated the baths.
I put a new roof on 15 years ago.
Oh, you did? Yeah, okay. So the roof is 15 years old? Okay.
But it's in great shape.
I noticed that when I,
Those fancy shingles on it.
yeah, the architectural, is that what they call
Well,
it?
those haven't come out yet, but these are just real nice ones.
Oh, okay, good, good.
They're really close.
The heavy duty shingles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great.
30 years. They're guaranteed 30 years.
Excellent, great, excellent. Now, who else are you talking to about the sale of your house?
We have 2 other realtors we're seeing
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And which companies do they represent?
What is it? Coldwell and
Yeah, and John Pedro, I think that's the other company.
Okay.
They're a discount broker.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. It's John. Discount broker. And what is the agent's name that you working with at Cole Banker?
Tate Shay.
I think.
Okay,
I'm not really sure.
excellent. Okay, good. And what other source of funds do you have available to you other than the equity of your home? Do you have another source of funds?
I mean, that's, you know, I don't really want to share this at this point, you know.
Okay, that's fine, that's no problem. The reason why I ask is that in order to properly qualify you financially and your ability to move, as I often ask that question to find out, but that's not a problem. If you're not comfortable at that point answering those types of questions, we can always visit that later. And you know, part of getting back to financing again now is how do you folks feel about owner financing? Have you ever thought about the benefits or the disadvantages of that at all, or have you considered it?
No, I'm pretty much a traditional guy,
Yeah.
you know, I just
Yeah.
rather deal with a bank and keep it objective rather than get
Okay.
loan.
Yeah.
So you'd want basically, maybe I should rephrase it too. Do you want all your cash out, or would you prefer monthly payments when you sell your home?
Oh,
My money.
yeah.
You want the cash out? Okay, good. Alrighty. Now, when we were on the phone and we talked a little bit, you had mentioned that I had asked you, what you thought your home was worth, and you weren't quite sure. And you asked me, well, you're the pro. You tell me what the house is worth. And then I asked you, what do homes sell for in your area that are similar to your home? And you came up with a price of about $300,000. And I was curious, how did you arrive at that price of $300,000?
Well, didn't the neighbor down the street like sell hers for
Yeah.
310
And
or
that was only
something?
last year.
Yeah, and
Okay.
a couple of other people were telling us, their friend had sold hers for like 320, and I mean they're all kind of like our
And
house.
then I know what I put into it, and,
Yeah.
and I did all that work.
Right,
and,
all the updating and the
Right.
roof.
Okay, good. Well, let me ask you this
I
question.
ever show you the garden I planted out back? It blooms every spring, it's a lot of work there.
I'm sure it is, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Are you gonna have a garden in your new home, do you think, or?
I don't
No,
like doing all that
no.
work.
We're not doing that.
So you're leaving the house and the garden, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave the garden.
Okay, good, right. Now, what are your major concerns in making a move?
We just want to get a good amount of money for our house.
Yeah.
We don't want to
Yeah.
Any
give
other-
it away,
Any other concerns that you have other than being concerned about giving it away or
Well,
selling it for too low is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I wanna get a fair price and I wanna make it as quick a process as I can.
Right, we don't want to have to do anything
all
to
right.
the house.
So, could I restate that by saying, least amount of inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alrighty, now, I'm gonna say 3 words, and I want you to pick one that's the most important to you. You ready? Pricing, timing, or convenience. Out of those 3, which one is the most important?
Pricing.
Pricing, alright, good.
Oh, you're
Make
so
sure we
good,
focus
honey.
on that, yeah. Now let me ask you this question. What would it do to your plans if you couldn't sell your home?
Well, it would not be good.
Yeah, but I mean, I would imagine we'd be able to sell it somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
We can't not sell our home.
Right,
We obviously wouldn't be able to move.
okay.
We wouldn't be able to downsize, and that's what we need to do.
And what would that do to your plans if you couldn't? Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you hired a real estate agent and they didn't get the job done in the 3 months that you wanna have it
Well,
on.
we'll just wait. We'll have to
Okay.
wait.
Okay, and what would that do to you, your situation though?
Are you asking me financially or?
Either way,
I
yeah,
think it'll just,
financial.
give us a little more anxiety.
Yeah, okay, more anxiety, all right. Any
Okay.
other issues that I should be concerned about at all?
Like
Okay.
money issues, there's no money issues. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, last question. What would it take for you to list with me today?
If you had a buyer.
Oh, we have lots of buyers, of course, but they haven't seen your house yet, so,
Mhm.
I didn't plan on listening with anybody today, I've got 3 people coming in, and I'm gonna listen to all of them, and then we'll make a decision, I had no plan or intention to sign
Okay.
anything today.
alrighty. So, the plan is then to interview 3 different companies, and then once, you've interviewed the 3 companies, then you make a decision from there as to who to list with.
That's correct.
Okay, now let me ask you this, how will you make your choice of who you'll choose?
I think, we'll come to who has the best price and what they're gonna do for us. And if
So
we're
you had mentioned
seem
what
to
they're
agree.
going to do for you, so in other words, what they're going to do to market your home in order to get you the best price,
Yeah,
right?
how they're gonna sell our house, yeah.
Okay, Now let me ask you this, if, so the agent who has the best marketing plan is the one who's going to get the listing, right?
And that I feel the most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think so.
And so if that's me, then you'll hire me?
Yeah, if that's you.
Okay, great, super. All right, well, that's good, thank you for reviewing that info with me, I appreciate that. Now,
Do you ever feel, can I sidebar?
sure, sidebar, here we go.
Sidebar, do you ever feel like, you know, cause how do you just keep pushing through the crazy answers and the, you know what I mean?
Well, because they're a little crazy right now because
Yeah.
we don't have an actual real scenario.
Right. But I've gotten these answers before.
Sure,
You know, the ones I'm giving you, I've totally gotten,
yes,
you know?
yeah.
So you just keep pushing through.
Yeah, and you
Use
just.
humor, whatever you can.
Yeah, and you know what, I just asked, I ask as many questions as they'll answer for me.
Okay.
Now, the other thing too, for those of you watching the video and for the sake
For
of,
you at home.
for you at home, yes, is, in regard to these seller questions right here, the only reason why I'm asking the first 11 questions is to cushion the last one.
Mhm.
If you only asked one question and one question only, it would only be the last one.
Right.
But as Floyd Wickman likes to say, there's this new product that he's going to invent. It's called the guts gauge, and it goes from one. He says it, and it goes from 1 to 5, and on a scale of 1 to 5, that last question is a 5. It takes a lot of guts to ask that question. You know,
Yeah.
what would it take for you to list with me today?
Yeah.
But you know what, that last question, and maybe it's just a personal thing with me, is I don't wanna say offensive, but it puts me off more than anything else,
Mhm.
because that's all I remember every used car salesman I've ever talked
Yeah.
to saying to me. What would it take for me to earn your business today? How
Gotcha.
can I earn your business today? That's exactly, you know, and they are, and I'm the kind of guy that I don't like to commit. What I said to you would probably be how I would handle it.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, you could cushion that question a little bit to make it more comfortable for you to say. So if, and the reason why salespeople use that question is because it works. Now, there's a large group of us that feel like, wow, you know what, that's just a selling technique, you're pressuring me, I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
And then, you know, I would simply, like, let's say that came up in a conversation, if it did, and most people you meet with will tell you, they will tell you what they're going to take. And did you see how I handled it? You were upset underneath, but you handled it probably the way you would if we were in a real situation. And you see how I came back and I asked the same question in a different way.
Mhm.
And so, you know, try to do that as best you can and try to answer in a different, or maybe, you know, we could say, instead of what would it take for you to list with me today, you could say, see, the problem is, if you vary from that, we're going a little bit backwards. Like I could say, you know, how are you going to choose to
Right.
hire
Well,
another
that's
realtor?
what I was just gonna say,
But it's
because,
a different question. It's not how you.
but it
How
led
you
you
hire
to,
me.
It's not
you know,
immediate, or?
that one question got you right where you wanted to be. Now,
Yes.
you've asked 10 questions to get to that one.
Yes.
If you ask the other 2 more, that we're still a little left, you know, how would you choose your person today? If I was that person, would you list with me?
Yes.
And that's a much better comfort level for me,
Right.
you know.
Well, listen, asking this question is extremely uncomfortable for an agent,
Mhm.
and it's going to be a little uncomfortable for the seller.
Right.
And you know, it's Floyd likes to say this too, is that, you know, wiggling is okay, wiggling is normal, pressure is normal.
Right.
That's a pressure question, and they kind of like wiggle in their chair
Yeah.
a little bit
There's
like this.
definitely
And,
squirmage.
and they're squirming around in their chair, and it's a little uncomfortable at first, but you know what? We've got to get it out of the way, because if you as an agent don't know what it's going to take to get the listing, you might not get the listing.
Right. Can you say that? What if, you know,
Yeah,
if they say, I
absolutely.
think that's a great retort. If I
Yeah.
don't know what it's gonna take to get this listing, how am I
Yeah.
gonna, you know what I mean? I think that's a great response, and I did hear, overheard a customer, another realtor's customer, I was at a restaurant, and she said, oh, I picked her because she was so pushy.
Yeah. absolutely.
So I think it can work for you, but I agree. I think I'm gonna have to get used to asking that
Yeah,
question.
right.
It's not something I'm gonna be comfortable with for a
Here's,
while.
here's what I always recommend. When you're uncomfortable with something, like for instance, when I went to a real estate training class, they asked us to go out and do what they call 5 who-dos. You had to go out and ask 5 people, who do you know that's interested in buying or selling a home? And I was uncomfortable with that. So what I did is I cushioned it first and I said, listen, I'm taking this silly real estate course and part of my homework is they're asking me
Yeah.
to go out and ask 5 people
That's what I
what
did,
it
yeah.
what it would take.
Jody O'Brien made us do that.
Yeah, so you could say that and say, okay, you ready? Here's the question. You ready? And they would always laugh. Even the meanest people would
Yeah.
smile. And I would say, who do you know that's interested in buying? And I got leads from it.
Yeah.
So maybe after this session and maybe after you're watching this video, you could say, listen, I watched this training program and or my manager gave me a list of these questions. And I gotta be honest with you, when I first read number 12, I was really uncomfortable with it because it reminded me of the last time I bought a car and these salesmen, they kept pushing me and asking me this type of question. But then after some conversation with some friends in my real estate company, I realized that, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if I don't know the answer to that question, then I truly can't help you. You have a need,
Right.
a problem, and I have a solution. I have lots of solutions to your problem, but I don't know which one to show you. At the sake of wasting your time and showing you all the solutions, I just wanted to narrow it down. And you know what? I want to be your realtor. So I'm going to ask you the question now. Are you ready? See, I cushioned it.
Right.
And then I say, and then I read it. I say, what would it take for you to list with me today? And they can't hate me because I'm just
Right.
reading the dialogue here. You know what I mean? And you know, the other way that you know, like Floyd talks about this on the guts gauge. You know, let's pretend that this is the guts gauge right here, and you know, you ask this question: why are you moving? You know, it's on 1 right now. The guts gauge. You know, what major improvements have you made? That's still at 1. And then you ask, you know, well, how did you arrive at your price? On the guts gauge, that goes up to about a 3. How did you arrive at your price? But you can turn that into a 3.5 if you just change your facial expression and you say, how did you arrive at your price? You know what I mean?
What's wrong with you?
And so, you know, how you deliver the information has a huge amount to do with how it's received. So if you noticed how very friendly I was when I asked that question, and you know, I put my pen down and I said, what would it take for you to list with me today? You know, and just be, you know, be a nice person and really truly care about them and have it in your heart that I care about you guys.
Has to
You know,
be
what
tactic.
can I do?
You have to use the right tactic.
You do,
Okay.
no doubt. Okay, great.
Okay, I can handle that question now. Then.
So, that's great. Now what I'm going to do, and what I would recommend that you do, folks do, is you take out your MLS data form sheets and you put it in a clipboard and you get up and you walk around the house. And so I would say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you for answering those questions for me. Now what I'd like you to do is ask you to show me around the home. And when you as the agent are showing, being shown around the home, I ask you to use a lot of what we call showmanship. And you're going to ask a lot of should I questions.
Right.
And you're going to say, should I include the drapes? Should I include the curtains? Should I include, you know, the dehumidifier in the basement? You know, will you be leaving the mirror in the bathroom? And when I talk about using showmanship, you know, look at the stain in the ceiling and, you know, just kind of stare at it, and eventually they'll look at you and say, yeah, we were going to paint that, and then you say, I would, you know, and those types of things. So let's pretend we went up, we looked around the home, and now we're sitting back at the kitchen table, and then we move on to step 3, which is I'm going to share with. Thank you for showing me around your home, and I know what you're saying about that garden. It's a lot bigger than I had imagined it, and so it was pretty. You have a beautiful home, and I can see that you've had a lot of nice family memories here, and you know what? This will be a nice home for the next family that moves in as well. I'm pretty sure of that. So the next stage is I'm going to show you why so many people choose to do business with both me and my company, Carlson GMAC. Then after we talk about that, then I'm going to talk about the price and the terms, and then at that point we'll both be able to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to decide to work together. Okay? So, now, for the sake of the length of the video, and I've already recommended this to you guys off the air, but on the air, I'm going to recommend, when you get to the section where it says company overview, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is that you go over the company agency policy statement. And the page looks like this. And then also review the backside where it has the arrows. I know you probably can't see that all too well, but it has the client relationship in Massachusetts. And explain to them how your company works and how the laws of the agency work. Then what you would want to do is, and you may even want to do that by sharing with them the agency disclosure form.
I was just gonna ask that, would you have that in there and have them sign that, cause there's a first meeting to discuss the
Yes,
property?
absolutely, you should. And you know what, I may even adjust this, and we kind of did this on a whim right now. We didn't really practice this for the video. But you may want to share it with them before you even get to the seller questions and say to them, listen, before you know, anything you say to me, and if I don't list your home and then I become a buyer agent, well, I have information about you that, let's pretend I'm the third agent in, right? We could use this dialogue. And let's pretend we're back to the point where we're right before we get to the seller questions. And instead what I do is I'll show you the agency disclosure form first. I'll explain, you know, it's Massachusetts state law that upon the first interaction that we have together is that I share with you the laws of agency in the state of Massachusetts, and I disclose, you know, what our company does and how it works and all that good stuff. Now, I know you've met with 2 other agents, and I'm assuming that they showed you this form right away before they started talking to you, am I right?
Well, we haven't met with them yet, you're the first, they're coming.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, let's pretend that you did.
We did.
Okay.
Let's pretend.
No, they didn't show us that.
And that's probably what you'll get.
Yeah, that's what I get every time.
And so, and then what you're supposed to do is act shocked.
Right.
Really? Well, here's why I have a problem. Here's why I have a problem with some of my competitors, and the fact that they're supposed to share this with the information with you first. And here's why. Because any information that you shared with them, if you choose not to hire them and hire me, and every time I say hire me, I go like this with my head, right? And you decide to hire me, they unfortunately are in a position where they could use that information against you. So what I'm going to ask you folks to do tonight, Bill and Lauren, is I don't want you to share with me anything that you wouldn't want a buyer to know about your personal motivation and your reasons for moving, okay? Because if you don't hire me, then I could then be a buyer agent someday, maybe a month or 2 months or 6 months from now, and have that information in my brain, and then use it to help my buyer buy your property. You see how that would be important? That's important. And I'm really shocked that my competitors didn't mention to that to you up front. You know, but by doing it by the book, this is what they're supposed to do first.
Okay.
And you see why?
Do you think
Right.
that would prevent them from giving you information?
Who cares? Yeah, I would rather have them feel this now. I would rather have them be comfortable with the fact that I'm the only person that told them the truth.
Okay.
And now they trust me more than the other 2 competitors because they went in and started asking questions without letting the seller know. And so that is a much bigger benefit than having the answers to these questions.
Okay.
And in fact, the only question I really care about is what would it take for you to list with me today?
Okay. So that comes
Right?
first now instead of the...
Yeah, so, you know, for those on the video, if we could rewind it and cut it and splice it, do the agency form first, and then go into your seller questions,
Okay.
okay? And so, let's rearrange our listing presentation so that it reflects that too. So now, I'll just put these before. And if they didn't, let's say in Bill's scenario, as we were talking before, that they haven't met with the other 2 agents yet. And I would say this to them. I say, well, listen, pay very careful attention. I'm going to give you some helpful hints and tips and techniques that when you're interviewing my other 2 competitors, some things that you want to look for. Number 1, did they in fact share with you the laws of agency, or are they starting to ask you questions that could be potentially used against you later on? And are they following the letter of the law? Because if they're not paying attention to the law when they're presenting to you, what might they not be doing correctly when they're representing you? And by the way, just so you know, if your agent screws up legally on your home, who's going to court? The agent, and guess who else? Everybody. You, the home inspector, the attorneys, everyone's going to court. So it's really important. I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm just saying this to help you make an intelligent, informed decision when you choose your real estate agent, to make sure that they're the type of person that's going to keep you out of court. And by the way, wouldn't that add to your bottom line? Right? Being able, it's not just how much I'm able to help you make, but how much I'm able to help you keep after the sale of the property, right? So please pay attention to that when they present to you and they give you your and they talk to you, and I hope that helps you in making your decision as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that. I kind of like that.
So,
Because then you sort of are the good guy either way.
yes.
Whether they've seen the other two people or not.
Right.
You're still the good guy.
Absolutely. And who do they want to list with? They want
Yeah.
to list with the person they trust and like the most, and the person who has the best plan. See, it's not just important that you like
Right.
me and that you trust me,
Gotta have a good plan.
but here's the problem. Let's say you like and trust one agent really, really well, and the another person you meet, well, you're not too crazy about their personality, but they have a very aggressive marketing plan that's going to get your home sold. That's a tough choice, So my idea of a great agent would be someone that has both. And I'm going to be honest with you folks, I wasn't born with either one of those things, but I worked really hard to get them, right? And I want, as comfortable as you feel with me, I want your buyers to feel comfortable with me too. And that's how I work.
Let me just go on a personal aside for a second.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is something I do worry about sometimes. I'm a large guy. Sometimes I have an intimidating presence, and sometimes I'm very direct.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just trying to figure out how to soften myself a little bit, especially when you're dealing with ladies all the time.
Yeah.
When I deal with guys, I'm very comfortable, but
Yes.
90% of the decision making is
Yes.
on the lady side of the table.
Yep. Here's the number one rule of thumb to solve with that. I have one word.
Smile.
Smile.
Smile,
You got it. and that's it. That's all it takes.
That's all you
I
can
gotta
do.
get the white strips out.
Yeah, that's fine. You have a great smile. So
Yeah. Smile.
and it's and that's how I would handle that. And then what I would do is I would get into all the details about your company. So those of you watching the video, what I would recommend you do is you gather up all the information about the company and read it and read it and read it again, so that when you get to these pages, you can explain all the benefits of your company. The other thing that I really want you all to focus on is the fact that to follow the formula of FBOT, that's the acronym for fact, benefit, opposite, tie down. So whenever you're bringing up a fact, it isn't just good enough to bring up a fact about your company, but you should also explain the benefit of your company, the opposite, which means if they list with somebody else, that they won't get it,
Right.
and the tie down, of course, is the close. And I'll demonstrate a few sheets in the presentation for you. So what we have here is we get to the point where we talk about our service commitment to you as a trusted advisor, skilled negotiator, and an expert facilitator. These are the three trademarks of a Carlson GMAC real estate agent. And can you see the benefit in having an advisor that you can trust, a negotiator that's skilled, and a facilitator that is an expert? Those are certainly some benefits. Would you agree? See, the opposite of that is that if you hire a company or an agent that doesn't have these skills, they may not be able to get you the most amount of money for your home and keep you out of court at the same time. And so, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Have an agent who, that's the tie down, one of many tie downs you could say. Does that make sense? Or how do you feel about, is that good? Just get an agreement on it. Now, here's a page here that talks about our corporate relocation program. We are part of one of the largest relocation networks in the country. And the benefit of belonging to such a large network, of course, is that we're going to attract buyers from all over the country and sometimes over the globe that will be attracted to this area for any number of things, mostly because of a job opportunity. And we will get these relocation buyer leads. And what's great about relocation buyers is once we get a lead, they most oftentimes have their job already lined up and they have to buy a home. So by me being able to attract buyers through our relocation company certainly gives us a wider base of where we can get buyers from. And again, that will help you get more money for your home. I know you mentioned 2 other companies. One of those two companies that you mentioned, they do not belong to a large relocation network group. And if you were to list with them, you would not have the benefit of a relocation company. So obviously you want to get more prospects for your home. So doesn't it make sense to list with a company that has a relocation department?
That was the title.
Yeah.
Of course it does, yeah. Right. So that's an example, and then you go through similar things that I just said there, and you talk about premier service and what premier service means to you and the company and what it means to them, and what if they list with a company that doesn't have a premier service guarantee.
What if, and I'm going on the side again, but what if you, in looking at their body language, start to see them get antsy while you're in this part of the presentation? Is it necessary to stay on it and lay the groundwork, or is it something that
Well, here's what I would do. If let's say we were getting antsy at this point, and I talked about premier service, and you have to keep in mind this is not a big listing presentation. It's rather short. But so what I would do is, rather than saying, the worst thing you want to do is read every word. So that's why it's important that you become comfortable with what the words say, so that you can just hit the bullets and explain it to them.
Maybe get it to a point where you have it so finely tuned, I would venture to guess that you can gauge, is this my 20-minute spiel or my 13-minute spiel, and maybe have 2 different spiels, a quick one and a not so quick one.
Right. See, the problem with not covering every point is that I don't know which one of these points will be a very valuable hot button.
Right, something could be.
If I skip over relocation or premier service really fast because they're getting antsy and I'm reading their body language, they're getting antsy. And I stop picking and I go right to the pricing, I'm going to lose them also. So what people have to do is develop the skill of being a better presenter. And to do that, might be a great way to do that is to simply ask a question. And so let's say I see Lauren's yawning, she's getting antsy, and I say, Laura, have you ever heard of premier service? Is that term? Have you ever heard about that term before? And I'm sure you can imagine what it means, right?
Okay.
See, I'm getting her involved because I'm asking her questions. And if let's say Bill's getting antsy, I'll ask Bill a question if he's getting antsy. I say, or if he looks like he's getting bored, I said, Bill, what? By the way, what do you do for work?
Me?
Yeah, what do you do for work?
Right now I'm out on a disability, but
You
I'm
are?
hoping to
Okay.
get back.
All right. What did you do prior to disability?
I managed a large office.
So you managed a large office. And in that large office, what type of work did they do?
A lot of data entry and student information.
Okay. And when they didn't do, if they didn't do it accurately, what would happen?
Big problems.
Big problems, right? So we have a commitment to what we call premier service, so that we eliminate those big problems. See how I just got Bill back into interaction mode rather than board mode. And by the way, I'm having this with Bill, and Lorna is dying over here. She's ready to get up and get herself a cup of coffee because I don't want to spend too much time with Bill. I have to juggle. It's like 2 plates. When one's falling, I got to spin it.
That for you.
Exactly. So, and skill. Even if you're not experienced with that, you know what? I have to tell you, when I first started, I didn't have that skill of being able to get them. I wasn't reading. I was just reading page after page after page. And you know what? My hit ratio was still pretty good, even though they were probably getting bored at certain parts of the presentation. It worked. I had a track. I was following it, and it worked. So then I go through and I talk to them about, as part of Premier Service at GMAC, we're going to provide you with a comprehensive real estate services from specialists, marketing, financing, and the actual closing of the transaction. So we provide the benefits that a personalized service through our local offices of all the aspects of what it would take to get a home property sold. And over here we talk about relocation, mortgage, marketing, premier service, title and closing, and home warranty. You see, we have all your bases covered, and that's what you want, right? That's the tie-down. Not, the opposite is that not all companies have this. And when they don't, you lose.
Right.
When they do, you win. Now, what I'm hoping that, let's say your competitor, the second competitor you mentioned, the blue company, they have all those things, right?
Right.
But here's what I'm going to bet on. The agent that comes in from that company is not going to have this page. They're going to gloss over it. They're not going to have a presentation. They're not going to spend any time on this whatsoever. And now they're going to be perceived as a company that doesn't have all those things.
Okay.
And one thing only did that, and that's because you gave a great presentation and they didn't. Even though they have all those things at the company, right? More details in regard to closing and services. And now we're going to get into the marketing program and add as many things in here as the company as you'd like. I mean, this is a scaled down version of it, but yes.
One of the questions I have before we go to the next section is, according to the agenda we laid out, you were going to tell me about you and your company. I heard about the company. I didn't hear a lot about you in there.
Yes. Well, this is where I get into about what I do personally as well.
Okay.
So at this stage of the presentation, what you would do is you would get into the part about you. And at this point, before you get into your marketing, what I would ask you to do is, or I would go to your marketing page, flip it over, and before you get into the details, talk a little bit about you, because you're the person implementing this marketing. And so let's say if you're brand new to real estate, we'll talk about the skills that you learned in your previous career that you can apply to real estate. You follow me?
Yeah.
There are agents who are new to real estate that have been to 4 or 5 of my Friday training sessions that I have, and they have 4 to 5 certificates of attendance that they've attended those classes and CEU training, and maybe even a copy of their license blown up. And they have all, like these 10 pages of all these different things that they've done, and now the consumer feels like, wow, this person really knows what they're doing. They're well trained.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you actually list maybe a bio page about you in there?
You could, but I would caution you not to get it too wordy, like a resume cover letter. If you sent a resume cover letter or resume, that would be something that you would mail to them in what I would call a pre-listing packet, that they may or may not read that. So about you, I would hit it with bullets about you. And there are things about you that would benefit them. Things that, keep in mind, you're applying for the job of marketing their home.
Right.
So, pull everything out that you can about you and what makes you good at what you do and how you do it. Okay? So then you talk about you, and then we get into the marketing plan. And we talk about, here is a page that talks about local and national and regional advertising. Now, what I would ask each of you to do, and because this is a presentation on the fly, it's the unofficial listing presentation. If this were a real listing presentation, I would actually have these magazines and newspapers with me in my bag. So at this point, I'd say, let me show you. And I'd show you the Republican, and I'd show you Distinctive Homes, and I'd show you, and I'd have ad circles that I've done personally, and things of that nature. And I would show the visuals, and I'd put them in your hands, okay? And then I would go to the next page, and I would talk about the home protection plan and the benefits of the home protection plan, and get into the details on this. This is a very valuable marketing tool that a lot of agents don't use. Now, this is a plan that all agents who are in real estate have access to some home warranty plan, but not everybody uses it as a good tool. This is something I want to spend a minute on because I just believe in it that much, and I've used it as an agent. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you have a beautiful home, and as you've shown me, you've updated everything, so you would think that you wouldn't need a home warranty because the chances of something breaking down in your home are pretty slim because you've done a great job, maintaining and taking care of things. However, when a buyer buys a property, one of their biggest fears is that after they move in, what if, right? What if, I know you have a dishwasher there, it's a year old, but what if even after a year old, what if it breaks? That's what the buyer's thinking. So in order for the buyer to protect their budget, a home warranty is very attractive to them. It makes your home look more attractive and more comfortable buying. I love this analogy. Let's pretend that it was your house and the house next door for sale. Same square footage, same color, same decorating style, everything's the same. Same age on the roof shingles, the swimming pool, everything is the same. Your home has a home warranty on it, the other home does not. Which one is more attractive to the buyer? Which one are they going to feel more confident in buying? Your house or theirs? In this case, yours. Now, what if you opt not to get the home warranty? Whose house are they going to get? Someone else's. Which home are they not going to buy? Yours. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So having a home warranty is a huge benefit because it will help your home sell quicker. And if it sells quicker, it'll sell for more money. And it's going to give the consumer that much more confidence in moving forward with the purchase of your home versus another one, because they know that their budget is protected after they move in. If something goes wrong, they're covered. And it just kind of really just takes their fear away. So, by listing with a company that doesn't explain this information to you or has a home warranty or home protection plan available to you, is not going to use all the tools that it takes to properly market your home and get you the most amount of money for your property. You see what I'm saying as far as that goes? So can you see that there's an advantage of having a home protection plan? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, aggressive
Does
internet
that come
marketing.
free with the listing?
Actually, there is a fee for it, and in my listing kit that I have here, we're going to actually review that. And the cost is, it's a little less than $500 for the home warranty. That's if you decide to get home warranty coverage for yourself and for the buyer. You see, there are a lot of options. There's actually there are 9 pages of information in the brochure that we have, that when you flip it out and you flip it out again, and so there are a lot of details behind it. And but just to not keep you in suspense, the cost is somewhere around $500. It's less money if you want to just get the home warranty for the buyer. And another huge benefit is this: let's say that you opt to have a home warranty on the property, and the house doesn't sell, you don't have to pay for the home warranty. Now here's the best part. Even if you've had seller coverage and you made a claim, and they paid the claim on something that needed to be repaired, you still don't have to pay for the home warranty unless your property sells. So you only have to pay this when you get your money, and when you get the right amount of money. Because in order for you to sell your home, you have to get the right amount of money, am I right?
That's right.
So that will include the home warranty.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
Is that-
yeah, oh, all right, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's a short version, but I
That's
mean,
a good version.
yeah,
I like that, yeah.
yeah. So that's how that works.
I don't have to pay when I get my money.
That's right. So,
You give me that 300,000 and I'll give you 5, I'm happy to do that.
super. Now, aggressive internet marketing. And at this point here, I have available to whoever wants them an entire separate presentation, or you could add it to this, of why print advertising doesn't work and why internet marketing is the way to go. I'm not going to add it to the listing presentation, and I'll tell you why. The reason being is that I'd like for you to have that presentation that I created in PowerPoint as an objection handling tool, not as part of your presentation. In other words, don't go into that whole thing of why print advertising stinks and the whole Wayne Gretzky analogy and all that other stuff that I have in that presentation unless you need it. Like, pull it out of your case if you need it, or have it at the very end of your listing presentation.
If you already presented all the newspapers, how are you gonna?
I didn't present all the news. I showed them some copies of the ads.
Okay.
Now, and now follow this. I'm also going to show them copies of, and I would take it out of my bag, and I would show them copies of the front pages that I printed out of all the websites that their property is on.
I think
So
what-
that's more of a visual. I've got more internet presence than I have newspaper presence.
And I think it's really to handle any kind of an issue that comes back with it. If they say, well, if internet's so much, why are you even including these newspapers? You say, because it's like buying a mutual fund. You want to diversify, and there's a percentage of our population, especially older people, who might not be on the internet and might see your house through that. So
Right. I want to cover all your bases. And we're not at the point right now where we can eliminate print advertising. And I know for a fact that if you interview enough agents, someone's gonna come in and say, we don't do any print advertising because it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to a large degree, you know what, they're kind of right, but gee whiz, you know, if your home is meant to sell
Mm-hmm.
by having an open house, and you hire an agent that doesn't do one, then your home might not sell.
Right.
If your home was meant to sell by having an ad in the Republican on a Sunday,
Right.
and the agent you hire doesn't do that, then your house isn't going to sell.
Okay.
Going back to what we originally said and what you told me earlier, Bill, is the way you're going to hire an agent is what are they going to do to market your home, right? So at this point, I would share with them and I would pull out and I'd spread all over the table of our internet presence, not just this one page, okay? Home Rewards Program. This is exclusive to GMAC, and what I love about this program is that you can actually benefit from the benefits of the Home Rewards Program right after you list with me. You don't have to wait till your home closes in order to benefit from these programs. And so, now, what is Home Rewards? Home Rewards is basically your reward for doing business with us, is what I like to say. So what you're going to receive from me is either, however you prefer, I can send it to you in the form of an email or I can send it to you in the mail. And what it is, it's going to be a list of a whole list of vendors that we've been able to negotiate discounts with, and I mean sincere discounts. I mean, if you were to do business with just half of the vendors on this list, it amounts to hundreds of dollars of savings, okay? Just to name a few: rental cars, home security systems, American Blinds and Wallpaper, Dell Computer, local links, linens and things. There's a linens and things right at the mall, right? Isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Right at the mall, we could use that.
What's local links mean?
Well, at that point, what I would do, and again, this is the unofficial listing presentation. If I were an agent and I were you, I would find out what that means and have a whole separate sheet on it. And in local, and we could find out right now. If I were an agent and I didn't know that, I'd get on my laptop or get on their laptop and say, let's go into Home Rewards and look it up. If you're asking me, Bill, right now, John, what it means, I don't know, but I'd have to look it up for you. And believe me, if I were a real estate agent and not a manager, and I would certainly find out what it is, and I'd have the information available to them in case they asked. So, no, good point. Good point. Merry Maids, Omaha Steaks. Have you ever had those? They're really good. You get discounts on those. T-Mobile, the Shopper Image. I heard they're going out of business though, aren't they? I think. Yeah, I think they're going out of business. Maybe our discount program put them under. I don't know. Wall Street Journals, Williams Sonoma. And this is just
Can you
these are
add
just a
Pottery
few things.
Barn and you'd be all set.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. You know, we're constantly
Sure.
adding new. There are people on here that like Weber Grill is another one that we have
Yeah.
discounts for and things like that. And so that's just to name a few items that you're going to benefit from after you list with me. Other companies don't have that. Like I'm going to the opposite again. The opposite is listing with other. They don't have the buying power that GMAC has. And that's one of the reasons why I joined this company. That's why I stay with this company here, because of the power and the strength of the GMAC name and what it can do, and the financial strength of our company that other companies just cannot enjoy, and they can't share those benefits with you folks because they're just not there. You see how, isn't that nice? So works out pretty well. It's a good program, isn't it?
Very nice.
Interesting. Now, this page I like to really, it talks about our exclusive team concept. Now, see, when you hire me, you're not just hiring one person. You mentioned two other real estate agents' names. I happen to know for a fact that both of them work on their own. They don't actually have a team of people that work for them and with them. What I have set up that's exclusive to me in my office is that I have a team of people that will work with us to get your property marketed and sold. And so here I have an organizational chart set up. This is me. My job is to market the home and to negotiate the contracts. This is where I'm going to earn you the most amount of money for your property, is by properly marketing your home and negotiating the contracts. Once I take the folder, I'm going to hand it over to our listing coordinator named Maria. Here's a picture of Maria right here. Maria is actually going to take the listing, double check everything to make sure that it's accurate, input everything into the multiple listing service system, and make sure to double check that that information is correct, and so that we can get it properly marketed to the rest of the community. Once it goes under once your property goes under agreement, I'm going to hand this file over to our office coordinator, and she is going to review the file. This is Linda right here, and she's going to review the file to make sure that all appropriate paperwork and forms are filled out, and make sure that they're in there and get those processed for you as well. Over here we have another person in our office, and her name is Pam. Pam makes sure that I have all the information that I need available to me. She helps answering any questions that come in over the phone. If I'm not in the office and someone calls and needs something, she can go and retrieve it from your file and get them the information that they need to properly close your form. Then we have a fourth person, and that's John Miller. He's our manager. Now let me tell you a little bit about him. He's been in the real estate business for 17 years. He was a top producing agent himself at one point, also a professional real estate sales trainer, and we have training classes with him every Friday morning from 10 to 12, and I'm there every week making sure that I sharpen my axe and make sure that I have all the information I need to be the best agent I possibly can be for you. In addition to that, I also meet with John once a week. Did you know that Tiger Woods has 4 coaches? 4 coaches. You know, one for putting, one for his swing, one for his finances, and one for his nutrition. And so, you know, professionals have coaches, and I have a coach too, and that coach is my manager. I meet with him for an hour once a week, and we go through my plan and my goals, and I go through and I share with him what I'm doing for my customers and clients, and we work on our business every week. You see, most people in real estate, they're too busy working in the business to work on their business. And as you know, Bill, from your experience, and you, Lauren, and your job, as you shared with me earlier, that it's important that
you. Go dancer.
Yeah, it's important that you practice and that you remain good at what you do. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Great. So you see, this is what makes me different than what my competitors are doing. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Well, wouldn't it make sense to list with me?
I would.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem. Right. Hey, by the way, you know, we're on this page right now. Based on what I've shown you so far, if we could agree on price, would you list with me?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Like I said, I still
Do I need
wanna
to show
talk
you
to
more? Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. No, and I know you need to talk to them too, but how am I doing so far?
You're doing a nice job.
All right, good.
Good stuff.
I just want to take your temperature. And you know what? It gets better. Where do you see this?
There's more.
You ready? Yeah, wait, there's more. Get a free set of Ginsu knives when you order today, right? And so what I have is what I call my 30-day marketing plan. Now, I want to explain this to you in detail. I call it the 30-day marketing plan, not because I'm only going to market your home for 30 days, and not because your home is supposed to sell in 30 days. The reason why I call it a 30-day marketing plan is included in this plan is a list of items of all the things that I'm going to do to sell your home, but here's the best part. I'm going to do them all within the first 30 days that the home is on the market. You ever heard that saying, strike while the iron is what?
Hot.
Strike while the iron's hot. Well, in the first 30 days, your listing is hot because it's new to the market. You see, what my competitors do is they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan of action. When you interview those other people, ask them for their marketing plan, ask them for it in writing, and ask them if they'll complete it in 30 days, if they even have one. And if they say yes, say, can I fire you if you don't? And see how they react. Because Bill and Lauren, I'm telling you tonight that in addition to the 30-day marketing plan, I also have my exclusive 30-day marketing plan guarantee. I'm going to hand it to you in writing, and I'm going to sign it tonight. And that means if you hire me to list and sell your property, and I don't implement all these things, you can sign it and send it to my manager, and he will cancel the contract. And you can go list it with another agent. You can list it with for sale by owner or anybody else.
I'm not doing that.
And well, I mean, why wouldn't you do it as an agent, right? You're saying that, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Well,
too much pressure.
It's too much pressure. It's too much work. So here's what I'd recommend that you do. When I started doing this as an agent, I only thought I'd have a few listings.
Right.
Well, what happened was when I explained that to people, it took their fear of listing with me and it just kind of wiped it away. So I had 50 things that I was going to do to sell a home. I quickly realized I can't do all those things.
Right.
I don't have enough time. So what I did before I hired an assistant to do all those things is I shortened my list. So do what's comfortable for you to promise you can do, and if you have time to do more, you do more. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving you that advice as a real estate agent. This is do everything you can to get the property sold. More importantly, the reason why this is good for you and them is that it motivates you to get the work done.
Right.
And let me ask you a question. Is your listing going to sell faster if you do all these things in the first 30 days? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And when it sells, who's going to make a commission? You, right? Mm-hmm. So you see how the 30-day marketing plan benefits you as an agent. Mm-hmm. And it takes their fear away, because their fear is, yeah, you say you're going to do all that stuff, but what if you don't? Well, you can fire me. And you can do it right. Here's what my competitors are going to ask you to do. Bill, Lauren, they're going to ask you to sign a 6-month listing agreement, and if they don't do their job, you can't fire them. Oh, sure, they'll sit there and they'll tell you, oh, yeah, we'll cancel it, no problem. But will they put that in writing for you? That if they don't do their job, this is the only industry, it drives me crazy. The real estate industry is the only industry where people are asking you to hire them and you can't fire them because they have a 6-month agreement if they're not doing their job. And that's why sometimes some real estate agents get a bad rap, or the real estate agents in general get a bad rap, because they sign a contract and they don't do everything that they can do to get your home sold. And some people even complain that they don't even hear from their agent on a regular basis. So as you can see, as part of my plan, that's what I have in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this marketing plan with you right now, and I'm going to show you a visual of every single one of the things on this plan. So you, as a real estate agent, what you do to prepare for your marketing appointment is this. When I say here that I'm going to put a lockbox on your property, I take out of my briefcase the lockbox, and I open the lockbox and I put in the code, and I share with them how it works and how it opens up, and this is the key goes in here, and then I'd walk over and I'd put it on the doorknob, and I'd show them how it works and how safe and secure it is. And I'm going to give you the code so you can take the key out in between showings. So when I call you and let you know that there's a showing, you can do that. If you feel comfortable leaving the key in, that would be the best bet, because I may call you in the middle of the day. You're both at work, out of the house, and you need to have the property shown. So can you see that by using a lockbox makes your home more accessible? Here's the bottom line, gang. If agents aren't using the lockbox and they're accompanying all their showings, that's a problem, because if your home is not accessible, they can't see it. If they can't see it, they're not certainly going to buy it. So always list with an agent that uses a lockbox on your property.
Well, I've had a listing where they didn't want to use the lockbox. They wanted me to accompany.
Yes.
And we went tooth and nail. So I finally agreed, and I knew I had spoken to someone. She's like, "Do it and let them see what happens." And I did, and she immediately, after 2 or 3 times, because I wasn't out, I said, well, I can't have 5 people, so it's crazy to do, and they learn quickly.
For the sake of the video, let's role play. Let's say you're a seller and you say, oh, I don't want that. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't want the lockbox. I want you to be here in my house.
Sure. Just let me ask you a question, though. What is it about the lockbox that concerns you the most?
Well, I just don't want it, I don't like it.
Okay.
I think, I feel like I want the agent here anyway.
Okay. Now that's a good point, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I thought that that's what you might be thinking. You want the agent there because the agent's going to sell the house, right?
I just feel more secure.
Okay. Well, most people want the agent to show the house because they think that the agent is going to sell the home.
Right.
Better, right? But this is the ironic part about properties.
Sorry.
About real estate properties. Real estate agents will ask you, the homeowners, to leave the home when the home is being shown. Do you know why they ask you to leave?
No.
So that the buyers feel more comfortable, and they'll stay as long as they want for the property. Do you know that the longer the buyer stays in your house, the more apt they are to buy it? Right? That's a fact. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So here's the problem. You hire a real estate agent. Let's say you don't hire me, the agent who uses the lockbox, and you hire someone else who accompanies the showings. I'm going to share with you the reality of the situation. The reality of it is that you're both at work. Your real estate agent that you hire who accompanies showings gets a phone call from another agent. Listen, I need to see this today at 3 o'clock. But your agent has an appointment to show homes to another buyer. or your agent has a listing appointment on a home that they're gonna list for $1.5 million. Let me ask you a question, is your home gonna get shown at 3 o'clock that day or not? Be honest with me. I know you'd like it to be, but what do you think that agent is going to choose to do?
Not show the house.
Right, and if your home doesn't get shown,
It won't get sold.
it won't get sold. So you see why accessibility is important if you want to get your property to get it sold. Here's another important fact, that agents don't sell homes. Houses sell houses. You know, here's another fact. The agent tells you to show up. The agent tells you to not show up, to go away. But then the representative, the person whose name and photograph is on the sign in the front of the yard, shows up. How is the buyer going to feel comfortable when the representative of the seller is there?
Well, you know, everything you say makes sense to me, but, you know, her issue was security of the house, and you know, wanted to make sure someone was in there when these strangers were walking around our house.
Right, that's a different objection for those watching the video. I was handling one objection so that I could handle it, and I'll handle that objection in a minute too. I want to bring up one other issue about the lockbox, and that is this. Let's say your agent shows up for that 3 o'clock appointment, but they have to leave early. They have to lock up the house and go because they have another appointment back to back. And so you know what they do? Because I've been on showings like this when I've worked with buyers. They rush you out. Okay, I gotta go. Help me get the lights, and they're running around like crazy and stuffing brochures in their face and talking about the taxes. The buyers they can't relax. If a buyer can't relax and feel at home in your home, it's not going to feel like a home to them, and they're not going to live in that house. And then you're not going to get your money. You're not going to be able to downsize like you want to and get rid of that maintenance in that garden and move on to your next home. And so regardless of who you hire, whether it's me or someone else, please make sure you hire an agent that uses a lockbox if you want to get the most amount of money and get your home sold. Now, you mentioned security, right? Security is that here's what you should do. Your home is going to be on the market. We're going to have an open house here. Anything of value in this home, I just highly recommend you get it out of the property. Anything of value. Even buy a safe. Take all your prescription medications and put them in that safe. Any money, important documents, anything like that. Rent a storage bin and start getting some of this furniture out of here as well, and start packing. Start putting things away. The dishes, any important trophies or medals or things that you have, collection items. All those things should be stored, wrapped, bubble wrapped, packaged, boxed, and put in storage before you list your property. Because I don't want anything to happen, and you don't either. The public is coming into your home. As much as that might bother you, in one way, there's an emotional detachment that you have to make mentally before you sell your home, and it's a lot easier said than done. I understand that because I've sold my own home too, and I know what that feeling is like. But what I did that made me feel more comfortable in security is I got everything out of the house.
That's a good. I like that.
Yeah.
And I like the get a storage box. Start getting your stuff there. Clear the house.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See, when they're doing that, they're also mentally prepared to make price adjustments down too, because what you do physically prepares you mentally, right?
Right.
And they're moving in that direction. So what I would do is I would also go through every list of every item here. I mentioned here special feature cards. I'm going to take out the special feature cards that have their address of their property on them, and I'm going to lay out these cards all over the table and explain to them how I want them to use these special feature cards on the property and how they're going to help sell their home. And then if you hire an agent that doesn't use a special feature card and your house was meant to sell as a result of what the special feature cards did, then your home might not sell if you list with one of my competitors that doesn't have one of these items. As you can see, have you ever even seen these or heard of these before in a house? No? You see, I want to make sure that we cover all your bases. At this point, gang, they've got to look at you and say, wow. I mean, this person is doing head and shoulders above what everyone else is doing. They're talking about agency disclosure before they talk to me. They're showing me marketing little things that no one else is showing me. Clearly, and listen, this is how I was able to personally charge a higher than average fee in my market area as an agent, because I could justify it.
Right.
I could justify why I would charge more than my competitors. After what? Oh, okay, great. All right, well, let's wrap it up. So marketing program plan, you're gonna spend a lot of time on that when you're at the house and showing them that.
Yeah, I would think you'd spend the bulk of your time there.
Then we go into, now, after I show them the marketing, before I get into pricing, I always ask this question. I asked it before, I'm gonna ask it again. Bill and Lauren, providing that I can, that we can agree on price, and also, because I'm going back to your objection, Bill, was that I know you wanna meet with those other two agents, and provided that I have the best plan out of all three people, if I have the best plan and we can agree on price, how do you feel about listing with me? Feel comfortable with me
Yeah.
at this point? Okay, great. So let's talk about price. See, it's really important that you get that, I call it a minor close, because
Right.
it's not the big close, but here's what happens when you say that. They're going to say things like, well, John, to be honest with you, I don't like that lockbox. Now the objection comes out. And because if you say, no, I don't know if we'd really list with you, John, I would say, well, if you don't mind me asking, why is that? Well, you use a lockbox and we're concerned about security. Oh, then I do the security objection. Or I have the lockbox and she says, well, I want my agent to show and sell my property. Then I hit him with the show and sell your property, non-lockbox disadvantages, right? And so that's why it's important to ask that question. It's hypercritical. Never talk about price until they're sold on you and your company, and they're not sold on you and your company until they say yes to that question. Okay? You have to go back. That means you didn't do a good enough job handling all the objections before and go back and do that. So now we're talking about pricing, and you go into the pricing. At this point, if you're a new agent, I highly recommend that you invest in and buy at www.davidknox.com, DAVIDKNOX, the video called Pricing Your Home to Sell. Put it in their DVD player and watch that for 20 minutes with the seller before you get into pricing. He will absolutely positively handle every possible pricing objection they could ever bring up in a million years. I personally used that video to list over 60 homes, list and sell over 60 homes in 1 year, and I did it with David Knox's help. And only one person ever said this to me. They said, John, because they saw my enthusiasm and where I was going with this is the largest investment of their life. At this point, they obviously know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and so I simply say to them that, one person said to me, well, can't you just tell me what's on the video? And I said, I could, but it would take me an hour and a half to tell you what he can show you in 20 minutes. And then I get up and I walk over to the DVD player and I say, Bill, could you do the honors? And then I go and I sit on their couch, we watch the DVD, or if you have your computer, do it right there at the table, and then we go back to the kitchen table to go over price. When you go over price, condition of sale, in our listing presentation kit, we have some of the details that you talk about price that he talks about on the video. We have in our presentation. Then you go over trend graphics. You talk about pricing in general. Then you talk about the market in your area, and you use the trend graphic reports, and you share with them the amount of inventory versus the number of sales this year to last year. Last year we had 258 sales in December. This year we had 197. So when they're telling you, oh, the market's getting better, you have factual proof that, sales are down. But guess what? Listings are up. Listings are up, sales are down. What does that do to their price?
Lower.
Sold versus list price. Another huge, great page on this. Tells you what the sold price is versus the list price.
See what I don't like about using that page?
Yep.
Is they're all saying, well, see, look at people are getting that much, and then you got to go through. Yeah, but that's the final price. They may have had 4 price reductions to get down where they are, and it doesn't show that.
But you can explain that to them.
Okay.
You can explain that to them. By the way, this is what I don't like about this form. And tell them that it might be. And you know what else you can do? Don't use it in your listing presentation. You can customize this any way you want, right? Look at this one. I love this one. This is great too. For sale versus sold. This shows you a chart, green and red, of the variance of what it's selling for and what it's sold. I love this one. This is a great form to use. This is my favorite one, and because over here it says the number of months of inventory in Hampden County, folks. It's 13.5 months of inventory of homes, single-family homes for sale in Hampden County right now.
Wow.
And Lauren, you said that you needed to be on deposit in 3, sold in 5. That's your goal, right, Bill? And so you see how it was important to get that information ahead of time, right? And so what do you think we're going to have to do for your home? 2 things. Price it properly, as we learned in the David Knox video, and number 2, promote it properly. They both begin with the letter P, price and promotion. You could price it right, hire one of my competitors, and if they're not promoting it like I am, you're not going to get your home sold. You follow me? You could promote your home like crazy with me, and I could market and decide if I decided to take the listing, and we could promote it like crazy and do everything, but if it's not priced right, your home isn't going to sell. You need to have both elements in place in order for you to be successful at getting your home sold. Follow me? Then I get into the CMA, Toolkit CMA, and I share with them the comps to help them and show them what their price is at. My favorite technique in doing the CMA is I hide the price with a sticky note. I show them all the features of the property. Now, Bill, you said your home was worth $300. Based on the criteria of this home, should this home sell for more or less than your home? And he said, probably less. And I said, what do you think it sold for? And Bill says, $310. And I say, Lauren, take off the sticky note. She tears it off. It says $290. Ooh, let's go to the next one. You know, it's a great technique.
Yeah,
and then here's the close, is the net sheet. Here's the range in which your property should sell for, anywhere between $580,000 to $600,000. And based on the mortgage that you told me you had over the phone, and all the fees that are involved, home warranty, termite inspection, document preparation, tax stamps, Title V inspection, and then we have the brokerage fee, which is broken up into 4 different parts. The listing company fee for service, they get a portion. The listing agent fee for service, they get a portion, which is me and my company. Then there's a 90% chance we're going to co-broke this with another agent as I market it to other agents. Therefore, the selling company is going to get their fee, and they will typically split that with their agent, the agent who works for that company, and they will get a fee also. What's beautiful about, little sidebar, about this presentation is that you don't have one huge number of commission that they're getting and they think you're getting all that money. It already handles a commission objection. Here's another huge thing about this net sheet. It doesn't have a percentage. It has a dollar number on the page. So when they say yes to netting $324,000 off of a $590,000 sale, here's the close. I say, Bill and Lauren, this is approximately what you'd net in your pocket after the sale of your property. Can you live with that? And let's say they say
$500 for the home warranty. Home warranty. Oh, $600. Okay, forget it.
So, and if they say yes, we can live with that price. Guess what else they also said yes to?
Hiring you.
Yes, and guess what else? See, it's so evasive.
So the listing price.
Yeah, Bill got it. The commission.
The
They've
commission.
agreed to 6%. See, other agents talk about it. They put the number out there. They put out the form.
When we talk about
See,
it then, yeah.
they've already
Okay.
agreed. They've already agreed. It should be a non-issue when we get to signing the paperwork.
Okay. Cool.
Anything else that you would have now after this? They say yes. Well, Bill and Lauren, I know that we agree on price. You agree that I'm a great agent, and I know that you want to interview with other agents. If I could prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that me and my company do more than those other companies, would you hire me today? I know it's a tall order, but if I could prove to you without a shadow of a doubt, would you at least entertain me and let me try to prove it to you?
Sure.
Okay. At this point, I pull out another objection handling tool, which is called my comparison flow chart. The comparison flow chart is a list of all the things that I do in my company and all the list of what my competitors do. And one of the people that you mentioned that you're going to interview aren't even in the top 3 in the Western Mass market area. And so they didn't make the top 3 real estate companies list. And so here are a list of all the things that I'm going to do, and I showed you my marketing plan, right? And here's what CB does, and here's what Matt does, and I added them all up, all the X's, and I do 36 things, and CB does 34 things, and this company only does 12 of those items that I mentioned to get your home sold. So let me ask you a question. Out of all the things I showed you on this form, which one thing do you think is going to sell your house? Which one? If it had to be one, which one? You don't know, do you? Because there's no telling which one thing is going to sell your home. So the problem is, if you list with Coldwell Banker and they don't use a home warranty on your property, and your home was meant to sell as a result of having a home warranty, marketing your property, then your home might not sell. So as you can see, I've got all the bases covered. If you'd like to get going this evening, I could do that. And if you have any reservation about calling those other agents and telling them no, which I know is sometimes hard to do, if you want, I'm friends with everybody in the marketplace. I'd be happy to give them a call and cancel it and let them know that I twisted your arm tonight, Bill, and I got you the list with me, and I'll tell you what else I'll do for these other two people as a courtesy to them. After I put it into the multiple listing service, I'll give them a call right away and let them know that the property has been listed, and if they have a buyer for the property, they can come right on over and show it right away. So they'll have first crack at being able to show the property to their buyers. How does that sound?
Sign me up!
Great. All right, guys. And here's another thing. At the end of your listing presentation book, you should have a visual for every potential objection that you could possibly get. And when they hit you with an objection, you can use the visual and share that with them. So that's the presentation, the unofficial listing presentation in a nutshell.
That was very helpful.
That was awesome.
You guys like?
Yeah, that was
Now
great.
is that actually going to be put together for us?
It is. It's
Yeah,
all
I'm
set.
gonna-
Yeah.
I have to cut these off because we don't have any without perforated edges.
Right.
Yes.
And then I'll put them in plastic thingy-majop, whatever those things are called, and then I need a binder. I don't have a binder yet either.
Outside of the pages that you're going to add in to be customized, these are all set up
Yeah,
in the
I'll
back.
just give it to you. You can copy the whole thing.
Well, I
But
was
then
just
you'll
gonna
put
s-
your own stuff that you like.
I was just going to suggest,
Okay.
if you're going to take the time and effort to do that,
Huh.
then I'll take the time and effort to go to Staples and find some nice binders for us.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
Great.
And then for like certain things, this one inserted like there's I don't know. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
But eventually, when these come around without the perforated edges, I'm gonna switch.
Well, you
Sure.
know what this is? This is, you've been playing golf with an old wood driver, and someone just gave you a titanium head.
Yeah, to drive
Yeah.
it home. That's a great analogy.
I was
like
basically
that.
kicking the ball
Yeah.
with my foot. Yeah.
So,
All right. Cool. So we'll do that, and
It's a great tool.
I'm
It
very
keeps you-
excited.
It keeps you on track.
Yeah.
and it keeps
I'll
the
get all
seller
same stuff.
motivated.
I'll cut it for you.
Yeah, keeps the seller motivated, educated, and entertained all at the same time.
So I will have the binders for us by Friday
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll do it this week.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. You were
Wonderful.
really good
John,
sellers. I
thank
appreciate
you.
it. You're very welcome.
This
Don't
is
forget,
awesome.
that's the one you threw over your shoulder.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I want that.
Yes. there you
I
go.
think that would be great. So you know what? Forget about
no,
this.
forget about that.
Yeah, forget that. We don't need it. I love it.
I would do that.